Hey, how's it going? I hope everyone's doing well. Welcome to episode 24 right now. And this is an interview, and I have a special guest. Her name is Aya, and we met on set at a short film in, I think, Berkeley. We were doing like a short film together, and that's how we met. And then we just sort of kept in touch like on Instagram and stuff like that.
Yeah.
She's really cool. She's sort of like transitioning to coaching, which we're going to talk about and stuff like that. So yeah, welcome Aya to Brain Dump. And how are you doing today?
I am fabulous. I am actually 3 hours ahead of California, so it's almost noon my time. I've already
Okay,
gotten a few things done, so I'm excited. I'm pumped to be here.
cool. Yeah, because I know you're in California before. Are you like living on the East Coast now, or just there visiting, or?
No, I moved. I moved to South Carolina. I needed some peace and quiet. I had a few projects that are cooking up, and I was really hoping to have some time to really just focus on them. And I don't know, I just was really craving that 3 hour difference. I wanted to be away from California. I felt caged in the Bay Area with all the
Mm,
traffic, with just so many lines wherever you go. The prices being ridiculously high, it was just too much. And so I just wanted like a different environment to produce and create these projects that are within me. And so I've managed to find this wonderful little city called Charleston in South Carolina, and I ended up just saying, "Yep, let's do it, let's move." So I've been here for 2 months now. Yeah, it's great.
cool. Um, how did you know anyone there, or was it just sort of like you just picked it and then
Yeah,
you
it
moved?
actually ended up being like a serendipity almost because I didn't even know Charleston even existed when I was on my hunt to finding that perfect peaceful place. So I no, I didn't know anybody in South Carolina. I wasn't even thinking of going to South Carolina, but one of my good friends, they suggested that I check out Charleston. It was one of the cities that they always wanted to go into. So I'm like, all right, I'm actually close. At first, I was considering Florida, but I ended up getting turned off by Florida for many reasons.
Okay.
Yeah, and Charleston is not that far from Florida. So I was like, okay, let me just make a pit stop. And I'm glad that I did because that's when I fell in love
Oh,
with it.
cool. Okay.
Yeah. So,
That's awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. So did you always know? Because I know you were posting a lot of like inspirational content for like a long time.
Uh-huh.
Did you sort of feel that you were going in that direction of like coaching, or was it sort of sudden where you're just like, I want to do this all of a sudden?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I have always had the burning desire to inspire and motivate people, but I've never considered myself a coach, even though I have like the personality of a coach. Like I can tell people, like I can get an individual to, get them to do things, right? Like to stay accountable, to move things forward, to really stay focused on their goals. And so I've had the personality of a coach, but for some reason, the title of a coach for me was just like a turnoff for some reason. I don't know. I never thought I
Okay,
would be a
I get
coach.
that.
But then over the months, and I think it happened earlier this year, I was like, I really do have the personality of a coach. I do like to inspire. I like to see progress. I like to see people grow. I've grown a lot myself. I've actually got coaching myself earlier, actually late last year.
Mhm.
And so I saw so much growth and impact by having a coach. I was like, I want to do that too. I want to make a great impact, one on an individual basis, but also just like on a grand level as well, just being able to impact so many people with my message. So yeah, I think it just evolved and now I'm just more clear in regards to what I want to do. And coaching is definitely something that I enjoy doing.
Cool. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Do you So you said like artists, is that primarily what your goal is to help like creative people specifically?
Yes, artists specifically. Well, one, I think each individual, like, I don't know, every person that I've met, I actually come originally from the corporate world. So I ended up
Hmm.
transitioning and following my passion of acting, and that's when we met. That was when we were
Yeah,
at
I
the beginning of
remember
the
you when you
stages.
said that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was like, I'm from corporate, I don't know anything. But even in my corporate world, like, I met so many people who still had that artistic desire. They would just keep it hidden. So for me, I actually, my little mini bio is I'm on a mission to inspire individuals to embark on their artistic journey, because I think it there's an artist lives within each and every one of us. It's up to the individual to really entertain the artistic soul within them, to really continue to evolve as an artist. We're all artists, but some of us
Yeah, and as a
pursue it.
person too.
Yeah, and some of us pursue it, right? Like you with your music and with the acting, and some of us just do it for fun as a hobby, and some of us just kind of put it in a closet and just never really address it, but they know deep inside they want to entertain it and they want to, they feel shy, I guess. So yeah, so I enjoy really inspiring uh, the artist in you, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. That makes a lot of sense. Do you, I guess like when you were acting and stuff, like, do you feel like you can translate that knowledge to like any artist or like any type of art form, basically?
I
Like
don't
it
know if
doesn't
I
matter
understand.
what they're doing. Like, I guess, can you coach any artist, like no matter what form they're doing? Like if it's like acting, music, or
I think
anything, you
so.
feel comfortable with doing like anything, basically.
Yeah, I think so, because it's kind of like baking a cake, right? Like you just have to have the recipe, like you have to know the measurements, right? Like depending on what you throw in, you can throw in chocolate or maybe you throw in vanilla, right? Like it's the what do you call it? I'm really bad with cooking, so maybe this
Like
was a
the
bad example.
flavor.
Thank you. The flavor may be different, right? But the recipe and the measurements have to be kind of the same if you're trying to build the cake. I would think. Again, I'm really bad with cooking, so maybe this was a terrible expression. But where I'm trying to go with this is I have marketing and sales experience. I have over 10 years of marketing and sales experience. And these skills that I've obtained in the corporate world, I managed to transfer it to a new industry myself as an actor. And so when I'm working with, I actually worked with a producer last year who's working on a feature film. And so I was basically giving him advice and tips of all the marketing and sales skills that I've obtained in a completely different industry. I was never in the film industry before. Those are the same skills I put into use as myself as an actor, as a model. Now, right now, I'm writing a script, so that's going to be the same kind of structure as well. Once I'm ready to um, bring it to the market, but it was the same strategy, I guess, with me helping out the producer, me helping out an entrepreneur or a film director. It's the sauce is basically the same. The strategy and the steps of how to build your brand, how to put yourself out there is the same. It's the difference is the people, right? The audience. Who are you reaching out to? As an artist, like as a rapper, you're not probably not going to really focus on the film director, but you're probably going to target and talk to music producers, right?
Hmm.
But the strategy is the same. You're going to have to draft your message. You're going to have to do this and that, right? You're going to have to get your portfolio ready. You're going to have to send your reel and close them, right? So it's those steps that
Yeah,
are similar. It's just the
yeah.
target market may be different. Yeah. So
Cool. Yeah, that makes a
that's
lot
a
of
long-winded
sense.
answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. And then what did you do any specific training like for coaching specifically, or you just sort of like knew that like how to coach already basically?
Not necessarily, like I did not know, but I think it goes back to when you do it yourself once, right? Like when you're the student, you start to take
Yeah.
notes of like, all right, so for my first week, this is what we did. We addressed my hurdles. We addressed my things that were holding me back. So now as a coach, that's the very first thing we're going to talk about, right? Second thing we're going to talk about are, what are your goals? What are you trying to achieve? Because we first need to address the hurdles, address what's holding you back from achieving those goals, right? And so usually that's one of the first things we talk about with when I talk with my artists and with my clients in general. So yeah,
Cool.
just
Yeah.
student now becomes the teacher. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. And what was I gonna ask? Do you have any like, I guess, like, what are some things that are hard about coaching that maybe like don't come naturally to you, or you have to like work on? Is there anything that's like difficult, or anything that you're like, oh, this is new, or like
I
something like
haven't.
that?
That's a great question. I haven't had to address that just yet because there's always something to be worked on with the artist. So the thing with the coaching, there's a difference because I was actually starting when I was first trying to figure out if I wanted to be a coach or if I wanted to be a consultant. And so now I'm kind of doing both.
Hmm.
I'm a business coach as well as a marketing consultant. And so with the coaching, there isn't much challenges on my end, but more of me challenging the artist, right? And so we go and really dig deep into what's holding the artist back, or how can we, address the issues that they're running into. How can we tackle those issues, and how can we move that artist forward for the upcoming week or for the upcoming month? Really getting that artist to visualize their success, visualizing
Mhm.
their life
Mhm.
3 months from now, a year from now, 2 years from now. So really, I don't really run into many challenges on my end. Um, yeah, when it comes to consulting, now I'm doing most of the work, right? So now it's difficult because now I have
I
to come
see.
up with strategies. Now I have to figure out, okay, how am I going to help build this business? How am I going to help grow that business or help that individual grow their business? And so I think as a business coach, again, I don't really run into those issues because I can anytime, if there is ever an issue or a challenge, I can put on my marketing consultant hat and say, all right, so we've reached
Yeah,
your
yeah.
highest of the high. How can we go even further? Well, here you go. Here are some of my tips and strategies of as a marketing consultant. So really, they kind of get like a 2-for-1 price.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then I guess another question is, like, the pandemic has like affected us all, obviously. Um, how did that affect like your coaching or like your business, or did it make it clear? Like, did the pandemic make you realize something? Because I feel like for me, it made me like, I was like, okay, I'm gonna focus more on music now because I can do music by myself and there's not as much like acting stuff to do.
Yeah.
So I felt like I naturally got more creative with like my music. And I was wondering if like maybe that was similar for you, where you're just like, okay, I'm gonna like shift my focus because everything is like closed down or something.
So again, I think I don't know how it is for other people, maybe for some listeners as well, but the pandemic, it kind of felt almost like a blessing in disguise almost. I hope no one really, like your
Mm,
listeners, didn't lose their loved ones during the pandemic. That would suck. I apologize. But um, I think it awakened a lot of like the artists in us because people like they stopped working, they stopped thinking, and they're like, all right, let me tap into something that feeds my soul. And a lot of times they turn into art.
yeah,
Like I have a friend who is a great marketer. He works for this big corporation. And when pandemic happened, he turned to playing guitar. And now he has
yeah.
evolved into this comedian and a podcast. And I'm like, oh my God, this is awesome. So I do see the pandemic as a blessing in disguise. To answer your question personally, for me, before the pandemic happened, I'm thinking, shoot, like this is my year to be an actor, my year to be a model. I was just like laser focused that like that's what I was gonna do. When the pandemic happened, I'm like, what the hell? What am I gonna do now? Like, production's closed, everything's closed. We're forced to stay at home. And so I was like, all right, well, I'm the type of person who likes to stay proactive. I didn't actually let it drag me down. I ended up just writing a lot And at the time, I was a part of this nonprofit organization I just got into, and they were hosting a screenwriting workshop. So I ended up taking that class just to get in the mind of a screenwriter. Since
That's
I'm
awesome.
taking my acting
That's
career
cool.
seriously, I wanted to see what the writers, how they thought, why they thought this way, you know? And at the end of the workshop, I ended up actually writing my own scripts and picking up a script I wrote like in high school. I was so young, and it
Oh,
was
okay.
just
Like you dug it up or
I
something,
dug it up,
like on
yeah,
your computer.
and then I pitched it to the workshop, and the teacher was just like, "You got to write," and I'm like, "But that's
That's
not what
cool.
I want to do," you know. And so I was like, "Okay, okay, well, I guess I should do that." So I ended up tapping into my writing. The artist in me in writing. I just kept writing, and I just kept wanting to challenge myself. So I was like, okay, well, I'm seeing a lot of people on social media being influencers. So I'm like, let's see what that's like. And so I give myself permission to be curious on things that I have interest in, but like I'm not ready to do them because, this, I don't know about you, but like when I would hear influencers, I would think, oh no, like that's for some reason I had this bad energy whenever I would hear influencers. So I'm
Hmm.
like, okay. And there was this influencer summit back in like I think October, November, which I ended up attending for a whole week, which is virtual. And I fell in love with it. Like I just fell in love with the word influencer. I fell in love with the word coaching, got into coaching. And that's when this whole transition happened. And so the
Yeah.
writer in me happened, the coach in me happened, came out. And I was still acting and modeling too. So once the production started to slowly open up this year, I was like, okay, cool. I can literally do all of that, you know? And then like this other curiosity of me becoming a film director, becoming a producer. I'm like, I can just do all of this myself. so, so
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. This learning never stops with me. So I just love to explore and stay curious and just keep creating things on my own. It's just been fun. So that's how I've evolved since the
Oh,
pandemic.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I've had the same thing where it's like I started focusing on music, and then I started DIYing like a lot of my music, and like
Nice.
because I was like before it's like I was sending my stuff to like a mixing engineer and like mastering engineer, and it would cost like hundreds of dollars for like one song
Mhm.
and stuff. So I was like, why don't I just take time and like learn how to produce better and like mix better myself? So I like spent time sort of teaching myself to mix. I bought like better equipment, like better headphones and stuff like that.
Nice.
And I started just, learning like the program that I'm using like a lot better. So I feel more comfortable with like my own pipeline, like just putting music out by myself without sending it to anyone or without like like paying someone else to like make it better, or, like have like the final say of like the mix and everything. So I've just been working on everything myself, like at home, like producing everything myself, singing everything myself, like without anyone else. And
Nice.
that's been so it's like freedom. Like I feel like I can make whatever I want, like whenever I want, and I don't have to like pay someone else to like, make it professional or anything. So it's really nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's good. Like it's good to know your process. Like it's it's actually very beneficial for you down the long run.
Hmm.
Anyway, I think you're not only are you saving a lot of money, but you're also learning the production side of things and the editor side of things. And when you can wear many hats running your own business, you can grow, and I don't know, something about doing it yourself is far more special than sending it off to someone else. Or I feel you on that because when was this? I think it was like 7 years ago or 8 years ago when I first started doing video editing, when I first started doing website editing. I was thinking like it's really interesting for me, and all the video editor platforms, the website platforms, they've evolved. But like the concept, again, just like what I've said earlier with sales and marketing, like stays the same with any technology. It's just gotten fancier and much better and easier perhaps, but that structure never really changes. So knowing the basics of how things work, it will actually pay out in the long run. Like what you're learning yourself too,
Yeah,
like
that's
editing
true.
and stuff, like you're going to probably get fancier and schmancier platforms later on. Same with, but you're investing this time in the knowledge that will pay out in the future, in the near future too. So that's great. I actually admire people who teach themselves on how to do things, so
Yeah, thanks. That's really helpful to me. I've like also been thinking, like, because I like clothes, like I'm into like fashion and clothes. I was like, maybe I should like buy a sewing machine or something. Like, it's just a thought that I have of like, I want to like try to make my own like stuff,
yeah.
but I haven't done it yet. But it's just something that's like on my mind. I was like, oh, maybe I should try that.
Interesting. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think, like these thoughts that we have in our head, like maybe I should try it. Like same with my influencer, the coaching, like these thoughts, like I have this big, like strong belief, like these thoughts that are in our head, like, oh, maybe I should try this. Like they're there placed on our path for a reason. Because I don't think that way like you do, Ron. Like for me, I'm into fashion, but I'm not going to be like thinking like, I should try to sew and create my own clothes. Like I just would never see myself doing that, But like the thought
Mhm.
of like I should try, I think that's kind of like your intuition saying you should go and see what you're capable of doing with your two hands, So
Yeah, yeah.
that inner voice, like same with when I first embarked on my acting journey, I was like, let me try because like I think acting is gonna make me happy, and I wasn't wrong. It made me happy. Yeah, still makes me happy. Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, that's awesome.
try
Yeah.
it. Try it. Listen to your intuition. That's me telling you. Just do
Yeah,
it.
thank you. I definitely will for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always good to have a reminder too.
Yes. Yes. And then
Yeah.
please, like, that'd be cool if you can write a Aya or something, like create your own little design for me.
Okay. I'll think of that then when I get one.
Yes.
When I get a
Thanks.
sewing machine.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think we're gonna wrap up for today soon. Was there anything else that you wanted to mention to like the audience, like maybe like where they could find you or like things that you have coming up or anything like that?
Sure. Yeah. Well, one, I just love to say thank you for having me and thinking of me on just inviting me to your podcast. So I really appreciate that. It means a lot. And two, if your audience wants to follow me on Instagram, my tag, no, my, what is it called? My thingy, it's called Hoja, Hoja dot AYA. Or you can find me on my website at hojaaya.com. It's HOJAAYA.com. And I'm actually in less than a few days, next Thursday, July 15th, I'm launching my introductory course called Take the Stage. So it's geared towards actors who want to take their acting career to the next level. So if you're interested of aspiring to follow your dreams, hit your girl up. I got you. This is dedicated to all the actors who are just passionate and want to follow their dreams. Yeah. And I just admire artists too much. So yeah, that's it. That's all I gotta say. Yes.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. And I'm looking forward to, hearing how that goes. And yeah, it was awesome talking to you today. I'm sure people are gonna like really appreciate you being on and like love this episode and everything. So thank you again.
Thanks, Ron.
Okay, thank you guys. I'll see you guys in the next episode. All right, bye.